Hi, everyone. You're listening to Live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey. Today on my show, we will discuss family values with my guest, Anthony Blunt, as he shared with us love in action. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Very grateful to be here. Appreciate you inviting me in.
Oh, you know what? I haven't seen you in a while. So you remember the first time we met?
Yes.
Could you tell about that? I want to see.
Regions Bank.
Yes.
You mean when I actually finally got you in the branch to actually meet after a couple missed appointments?
Yeah.
And
Well, maybe we shouldn't be talking about that part, but
Okay.
no, that's fine.
Well, I remember sitting and talking with you about your business and just kind of going through some things that we thought might be able to enhance what you do, and really just trying to give some guidance and advice. What I do in banking, it was some work, entertaining, but I tell you, it was great working with you. Love hearing from you and talking with you always. It's always something fruitful that came from the conversation, whether it was business or personal or spiritual. So always good conversations.
It was good. You know what? But I think that there is a day that we met before. I don't know if you remember, but I came into your bank thinking that it was TD Bank. And you were the one that told me, you have the wrong bank. And I thought about that like last week. I was like, wait a minute. I met him before, and that might have been like years before I even came into your bank. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up, it goes in line with our topic on love in action, because the things that you were sharing with me as far as with my business and how to improve my business and how to keep everything on track, it just showed how much love you had for me, even though you didn't know me, but for what you do. And so since that's a good topic for us today,
Yes.
share with us a little bit about yourself. How did your family values and how did that love in action into you in order for you to bring it out to others?
I mean, I would have to say my upbringing with my mom. I grew up in a single parent home with just me, my mom, and my younger sister. My mom understood and she communicated to me all the time that it takes a man to teach a boy how to be a man. And I appreciated her for understanding that and not trying to raise a man as a woman. And so she put me around my uncles a lot, my grandmother's brothers. And so I just really grew up old school. And I grew up around a lot of older people where if I got in trouble, that news made it home before me. And when I got home, I got in trouble again for somebody having to get on me away from home and just not representing my family well. And my mom and my uncles, they really instilled that in me. And just the relationship that I had with those in my community because of that, I was always open to helping my neighbors and just helping those in my community because of the relationship that they had with my family and the importance that my family put on representing the family well. And you know, when you're out, you know, when people look at you, they see me. You know, my mom and my grandma would tell me and my uncles, you know, that I represent them when I'm away from home. And I wanted to do a good job at representing my folks because I loved them, you know, and they spent so much time and energy and helping me learn to do the right things. I wanted to represent them well when I left home. And so, you know, when I got into the workforce and started working, I wanted to be able to do something I could be passionate about. And I love people, you know, so anything that I'm doing, I'm helping people. I'm in my element. And so banking is no different. I love being able to help people have some type of financial liberation or some type of financial freedom and being able to just have a control on it and not being stressed out about it. So I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of it.
Wow, you said something that's powerful when you say you raised up in a single parent home. And, you know, and sometimes as single parents, when we're raising up men, young boys, that we tend to train them as the mother, you know, come help me in the kitchen, you know, come clean the dishes, you know, come help me with the groceries or come do this. We don't normally hear a single parent putting their son with men and say, okay, you go to your uncles, you go to your brother or cousin or something, and you let them train you in the way that you should go. And that's basically what your mom did, was kind of train you in the way that you should go. So I know that you said you not only operate with this quality in your business, but you also operate it in the community. So tell us about what you do outside of your home.
Oh man, I'm always on the go. I serve as the treasurer for Rockledge Youth Football. This is my third year coaching there. I coach senior flag this year, and I'm the youth minister at Fifth Boulevard Church of Christ. So I spend a lot of time with the kids there. And anything where I see there's just some opportunity to be around some of the younger folks. You know, my kids one day will be looking up to them. And so I believe if I can invest in them now, when my kids are looking up to them and they're at that age where it's not cool to listen to daddy anymore, at least I'll have some impact and some type of influence on the folks that they are looking at. And so, you know, I do things mindful of the next generation and then, my children and their children. But I try and spend as much time as I can on the ground in the neighborhood that I live in and operating and letting people see me because that's where I come from. And if it wasn't for people like that doing things for me, there's no way I'd be where I'm at today.
Wow, That's awesome. So it's more like love in action. You're giving back what you was given. And that's important in our society today because sometimes it's all about us. You know, it's all about what I'm going to get, what somebody going to do for me, what I deserve. And it's powerful to know that you have that heart and that passion for young people. And how are they receiving you with how you're teaching and what kind of teachings are you giving them when you're coaching, you know?
I work with a wide range of kids. I mean, my younger kids, I think probably what I do different than some other folks is my younger kids, and when I say young, I mean that 5 to about 7 or 8 range. Mm-hmm. I talk to them like they're adults. I don't belittle them. I don't talk to them like they don't know. I'm very straightforward with them. And I keep things off of them and on the issue. And they understand things like that, you know. And I'll give you a good example. I have a young kid that played football with me, and I spent time with him. He's been coming to church with me. But when I talk to him, I talk to him about making good decisions. Mm-hmm. I talk to him about what are leadership qualities that he possesses. And I talk to him about being in control of himself and not allowing others to control him. And you would think, you know, for a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old that might be over their head. But he responds to it. Mm-hmm. When I first started spending time with this kid, you know, at school they give them the smiley face or the straight line face or the sad face. Mm-hmm. This kid was getting a 1, which was a sad face just about every day. And after spending some time together and really talking to him about accountability, you know, because when I would ask him about his day, he would try and tell me about, you know, 1, he would try to tell me it was okay. And I say, well, you know, you say it's okay, but I see you got a 1. You know, so what happened that caused you to get a 1 and then you think it's okay? Mm-hmm. And so we would talk about that. And one of the first things that he would do is what most kids do. They say, well, such and such did this to me. And I would stop him then and say, well, I didn't ask you about him. I asked you about you. So what did you do that caused you to get a 1? Because he can't make you get a 1.
Right.
You know, and kids they're just like us. They don't like for anybody else to be in control of them. And so when you start talking to them like that, and I said to him, you know, so you telling me that he control you? He tell you what to do? He determine how your day going to end up being? Mm-hmm. No, he don't tell me what to do. He don't determine my day. And so, you know, we just talk through that. Well, that's what you allow him to do, you know. And then you're telling me that he's the reason you got a 1. But he's not in control of you. And when you talk to them like that, they understand that. They receive that. And he started making changes. And the conversation would shift, you know, to where he would get a 3. And I said, well, what did you do today? And he would tell me, well, you know, and there were details along with it. Not mm-hmm. just I had a good day, but this is what I did. These are some of the decisions that I made to make it a good day. You know, there was an opportunity where it could have went bad, but I made the right decision. Mm-hmm. And talking through that and celebrating that, he enjoyed it and he want to perform and he want to do well. Because he knows somebody's there to hold him accountable. Kids need accountability too, and they yearn for that structure.
Yeah, that's true because we do too.
Definitely,
we were created to have accountability, to be responsible, and to do the right things. You know, we were fashioned. God fashioned us that way. He fashioned us to honor authority. You know, to listen to our parents, because that's why he tell us obey your parents. Mm-hmm. So if he wanted us to live a frivolous life, he wouldn't have gave us structure. we fight against the structure,
Oh, yeah.
but he gave it to us to guide us down the road. And not only that, he tells us too, when we have children, to train them up in the way they should go, not to let the children train us, not to let the children tell us what to do, guide us as parents. And it's flipped now in our society, because some families allow their children to tell them what to do, allow their children to kind of boss them in a way. They're making them accountable to them instead of vice versa, And another, while you were talking, I was thinking of unconditional love, because God gave us unconditional love. And I believe that's why the young people are so attentive to you, is because of your unconditional love. And so with that, I'm saying, as far as the unconditional, is that you knew that he was doing whatever he was doing, and you didn't attack him and say, why you didn't do da da da, or you didn't shun away from him, So can you explain, like, what else do you do with the young people other than coaching? Do you, in your ministry, what have they begin to do to show that you have made an impact in their life?
Old man said to me one time, he said, kids spell love Time. And that's how they proportion that, how much you love them based on how much time you spend with them. When I see kids start to spend more time around me and want to spend more time around me, that's evident to me that they see it's something there. It's something that they like, something that they enjoy, some value in the relationship that they have with me. And it's something more that they want to get out of it. So, I open up my house to the kids in my youth ministry, to the kids that I coach. We do devos, me and my wife, at my home sometimes, and just trying to always make it inviting for them by, doing the thing, just like you said, you can't attack them. You got to remember, you were 15 and 16 before too. You were 11 and 12 before too. I was 5 and 6 before too. And the things that my son and my daughter do, I tell them, I'll stop my son all the time. And I say, man, listen, I was 6 before too. I've done that a couple times, and he look at me crazy. I say, yes, that same thing. I've done that a couple times. But he's more receptive to it then, because I'm not beating him up about it. I understand. I can relate to it. That doesn't make it right, because I understand it's some things that we need to adjust. And we just talk through it. But you can't treat a kid like you don't know, like you don't understand, right. Like you can't get why they do some of the things that they do when you've been down that road. You understand, if you're dealing with hormones you can't control, you're trying to figure out things that you don't understand. For little kids, you're just curious and you want to know, you want to test and see what you can get away with. You've done it too, so just being understanding to that and being open, not trying to be so holy or so mature now that you don't get it. So, and
I think too, what's important is being real. That's what you're saying, basically.
All day.
Be real with your kids, man. Just you're a parent and you're not a super parent, and you don't have bulletproof vests on, that nothing affected you, and to just be honest and open and real. And that reminded me of the times when raising my kids, as a single mom of 4 girls and stuff too, I had to be honest with them. I had to let them know, even how I felt. If I had a bad day, I told them I had a bad day, and they're asking me, Mom, what happened? And I'm talking to them. And then when they come in, I'm asking them, how's their day? And then it's more of it's connecting. And that's what it's all about, really, is you connecting with the young people, with your family, with your wife, to touch the very thing that we all have, and that's the heart. Once you have the heart, you can change anybody. It's once that person's heart's been changed, they can change the choices that they make.
As
they
a man
can change.
thinketh in his heart, such is he.
Yeah. That's true.
That's why everything flow through the heart. Yeah. That's when you change that and you change the way that you think, that's where life flows from. So that's important. I talk to my kids all the time about having a pure heart. It's funny because now when they do stuff, I heard my daughter say to my son the other day, he was picking at my youngest daughter, and my oldest daughter looked at him and she said, AJ, pure heart, because she recognized that as something that's being wrong, and there wasn't a pure heart. It's not nice. And when you say stuff like that, man, you think a kid don't pick up on it and they don't understand it, but they get it. Yeah. And they can identify with it and relate to it at an early age. And when you instill that stuff in them, they won't, they'll remember it. They might not always get it right, but they'll remember it.
Then and also too, they may not remember what you say, but they do remember what you do.
More than what you say. More than what you say. And they will call you out.
Oh,
If you do something that you said don't do,
oh, yeah.
they want to know everything about it. Why you did it. But you said this. So then is it okay?
And
Well, then why did you do it? Oh, it's a ton of questions.
Yeah. Then we try to justify it because we got called on the carpet. And we like, well, I'm the mom or I'm the parent. You know, do what I say.
Best thing you can do is
just like, I surrender.
That's it. That's the best thing you can do, and admit it. And I've had to do that. I've had to apologize to my kids and say, "Daddy was wrong." You know, I shouldn't. I should not have talked to mommy like that. You know, not only not in front of you all, I should never talk to mommy like that. You know, that won't happen again. Yeah. You know, but you have to be honest with your kids and share. Just be real, man. They that. So
yeah, and all of that, they know that. They know what's real and what's not.
Oh yeah.
You know, no matter how young they are. They know what's real and what's not. And being honest with them, it also shapes their reality of what is truth and what is false. Because, you know, we can also guide our kids into doing all kind of crazy stuff, and they believe that it's true. But when you take the time, like you said, and you take love and you incorporate that into their heart and let them know that, hey, I'm concerned about you. I love you. I care about you. And what you do does matter. See, now we live in a society. What you do for you. You know, I'm living my life. It's all about me. But what we do, the choices that we do make, it affects everybody. And it affects the path that each person is taking, you know. So it just, and I'm always keeping to my, with my kids and stuff, man, because it just reminds me of the things that I would correct them about. Yeah. And they would, and they would tell me, they were like, Mama, you kicked that cat. But you told me not to kick that cat, you know, whatever the case may be. And then, they brings you to that carpet because they let you know that you got to be honest, be straightforward, you know. So how is your love in action is seen in your business? And I know you said that it's seen in your business and with the kids and stuff, but how does it really get to your relationship with your wife? Let's talk about that.
Man, that is a process. You know, marriage is a beautiful thing. Depending on the people that are in that marriage. Yeah. Because marriage could be, people can make marriage really, really
harder
ugly.
Than what it is.
Oh man, they can make it ugly. They can make it difficult.
Yeah.
One of the best things, or the best bit of advice someone gave my wife and I when we were getting ready to get married, was one of her cousins, and he said, just be mindful that both of you still have a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do. Love each other through the growth. That was huge. I still remember that. Yeah. You know, 8 years ago, I still remember that fresh in my mind. And I think about that because there are times where I'm growing and she's not, times where she's growing and I'm not, times where both of us are stagnant, times where both of us are growing. All of those are very crucial times. You know, no matter where you are, it's very crucial. And it's important that both of you are mindful of that. I'm very thankful for my wife and her patience. It takes a lot of patience. What the Bible says is love covers a multitude of sins. That's unconditional love. When you're able to look beyond the faults and just love somebody, flaws and all, that is the huge thing for my wife and I. And just being able to be open and really be honest and have some of that. You know, when we first got together, you know, that playful love where, you know, some things that might aggravate you because it's that one, it's funny or it's cute. And keeping that stuff in your marriage, you know, it's an old song say same thing it took to get your baby hooked. It's going to take the same thing to keep her. You got to keep your things fresh and that same love and zeal and excitement that I had with getting her. I try and keep that same love, zeal, and excitement now with keeping her. Sometimes it gets taken for granted. Sometimes you just get the going through life and going through the motions. But the love and action for my wife is just continuing to try and be a strong man of God and understanding that before anything, if I'm going to be a good husband, I got to be a good follower of Christ. I have to be a good godly man. If I'm going to be able to lead my wife and I'm going to be able to lead my family, it's going to have to be based on the will of God. If I want it to be right, if I want it to be prosperous and fruitful. And we start there. And I love now my wife and I are doing a lot more stuff together in the youth ministry. and the kids love it. They talk about it. So working together and doing things together more, that helps with our love and action, when we can be a team and people see our teamwork, and we get recognized. That's awesome.
Yeah.
When someone says to my wife and I, y'all are my favorite couple, that's rewarding, because it's a lot of work that went in to get in that comment that they don't see, that if they saw it and they saw how ugly things are sometimes, they might not say that.
Right.
But because of the love that we have for each other, we don't allow people to see that in our marriage, and we are committed to working through that and being committed to each other, because we made vows that say it, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, through sickness and in health, till death do us part. And we try to honor that.
Yeah.
We do. We honor that. Worse is, it could get worse. But we still have to be able to love each other through that. And so we got good in-laws too. That helps. But
a good support system does help when you're going through a lot of stuff. When you're don't pass out over you. when you are dealing with a lot of things in your marriages and stuff. But another thing that is so vital, Anthony, when it comes to marriage, is both people are willing to change. Both people are willing to work. Because there are a lot of marriages where you don't have that two people. You don't have the two people willing. One person could be pouring and pouring and pouring and doing and doing and doing. The other person could just be like, oh, well, and going on, to where they're living in the same building, the same home, but they're in two separate rooms. You see what I'm saying? So with that in mind as well, it takes two people. You can't do it alone. And it takes two people who are willing, and their heart is, hey, I love you. Let's get this together. But what would you say when someone is in that situation where the other person is not receiving anything and they are looking at separation or whatever, and they've done everything they can? They've done everything. And so the husband or the wife, they're just on their own and they're just like roommates. What would you say to them?
First thing I would say is pray about it. If you haven't already, and I'm assuming that when you get to that point, you have been praying. Yeah. But don't lose hope and don't lose faith in the power of prayer. If you haven't already done counseling, seek counseling. And understand that everybody's not going to view that the same way. Some people are going to be totally against going to counseling. If it worked for you, though, you keep going. Yeah. If you got to go to marriage counseling by yourself to work on it, to help your marriage, you do, and be committed to what you said in your vows. I believe God will honor that. We can't control another person. The only thing we can do is plant and water, and God will provide the increase. Right. And just follow the will of God. The Bible gives us good instruction on how to handle our marriage, but it also gives us instruction on being protective and guarding ourselves from being unequally yoked. And that's something that we have to be mindful of. When we make these vows, I think that in America, wedding vows are now almost kind of like a loan agreement, where the package just keeps getting longer and longer and longer because of the different lawsuits and the people trying to get out of it and find a loophole to not be tied into the agreement that they made. And that's how marriage has become, to where the sanctity is gone. And we say, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, through sickness and in health. But we really only mean for better and for richer and for health. We don't really want to deal with the sickness and the poorer. And, that I don't know if that's still a true statistic, but I remember there was a time where finances was the number one cause of divorce. But we said in our vows, for richer or for poor. So why would we allow finances to get in the way of what we already said that we were going to work through? Right. It's really honoring those vows and understanding that commitment before you make it. Because like I said, worse can really get worse. And if you have someone in a relationship that's growing and the other one's not, and you're not mindful of and considerate and still willing to be loving through that, it's definitely going to be some challenges. Yeah. And it's going to be tough, for those marriages where you on that last leg. I don't hope or wish for anyone to separate from their marriage. But I do understand, just like Jesus said, there are reasons where one would need to get out of that situation. Adultery, one that's not a believer that abandons their family. You know, there's scriptural guidance on those things. I think, you know, seek God. You know, seek God, stay in prayer, stay faithful, don't grow weary in well doing, and just be willing to endure, understanding who's endured for you. And the things that you take him through,
right?
You know, the times that you've turned your back, the times that he's been willing and waiting on you and you wouldn't come back. You know, be mindful of that. And when that's what drives you and you got the right thing on the other side of that balance scale with yourself, because it can't be your spouse on the other side of that scale. It has to be Jesus. It has to be the relationship between him and God that's on the other side of that balance. And if you're putting another person over there, you're going to have a problem.
Right.
You know, because when they don't measure up or you don't measure up, it's an issue. But when you understand who your real ruler is, where your real measuring stick is Jesus Christ and the relationship he has with God, your perspective on things change. The level of endurance that you have, it changes. That long suffering, it changes because you understand. And that's just important. I really value marriage, and I hope that, you know, as a country, when we make these vows, and as people and men and women, when we make these vows, we can really mean what we say when we say those things.
It reminded me of too, because, you know, I've been married before. Don't know if you know, but when you mention unequally yoked, because we can get together and that is not the person that we need to be with. And I think our listeners need to know, because sometimes when we want to separate or we want to divorce, we stay in it because we don't want the repercussions of what other people may think. And so we're trying to do all this stuff, and yet it's unequally. You know, the love might have been there, but the unequalness of the two people going down the same road is missing it, you know? So could you explain a little bit more about that?
When I think about unequally yoked, there's an image that comes to mind that I saw before with a yoke. And on one side of the yoke, you had an ox. And on the other side of the yoke, there was a donkey. And the thing is, even if that donkey is working hard, he's never going to be able to do what that ox can do. Even if both of them are pulling it in the same direction, what you're getting ain't going to be the same as if you got two oxes pulling.
Right.
There's going to be an adjustment that the person that's running that yoke going to have to make to compensate for that yoke being unequally yoked. And I said that to say you're not going to be able to make something right that's wrong. You know, that's why you got to do a good job at, before you make those vows and that commitment, taking the time to stop, you know, do pre-marriage counseling, you know, find out the things that you need to know about that person, spend more and more and more time with them, and not just that naive time, you know, where you're just trying to win somebody over, because we'll put on. We'll put on to try and get them now. We'll go above and beyond, you know, we'll get super fresh and we'll open the doors and bring the flowers, and, you know, she'll put on the perfume and the hair did up and everything. And then once you get together, then the hair ain't getting done no more. The doors ain't getting open no more. And, you know, you got to spend enough time to where you can see past those things that's just with the newness of it, you know, that freshness of it, you know. Spend real time together where you can see those things, where you know, no TV, no cell phone, and just talk. You know, do you like the same things? You know, are you driven by the same things? Are you both motivated the same way? You know, what drives you? Are you both God-fearing? You know, do you even understand the significance of marriage and the institution of marriage, or are you just doing it because people say you should get married? You know, that's just like getting baptized without the understanding. It's no good, because it's all based on faith. And if you don't have the right faith, well, you know, that baptism, it was based on faith. Right. And so if the faith wasn't there, it's void. You know, that unequally yoked is really important. We got to put in more time on the front end to make sure that we don't find ourselves in that situation. And don't be naive, just afraid to be lonely. You just accept that.
Right. Yeah, that is so true, because in any situation or any relationship, it takes one thing: communication. And if you don't communicate, and if you can't communicate, it's already a problem right there. Yeah. If you're not able to express how you feel. And you're right, in our society, when it comes to marriage, it's all about what you bring in. You know, now, before people marry you, they look at your credit report. They look at your bank statement. They look at all these things, and they come up with their own contract, their own vows. And it's as if they're saying, well, I'll marry you because you can offer me this. But the moment I don't get what I want, I'm out.
irreconcilable.
Irreconcilable. This is like a done deal. But you know what? You also mentioned something too that along with marriage is that you got to know why are you marrying this person? Is this person more than just making you happy, smiling, or whatever? To really get down into the real deep conversation, the really deep things that really touches your heart. You know, that really affects what you believe, your values on life, on children, or whatever the case may be. I am such a strong person on communication. If I can't communicate, I believe I would go crazy.
Yeah.
because I know the importance of having communication. And without it, how can we exist really? Everything is communicative. Mm-hmm. And even if a person don't know how to, at least find out where can I go to get it? So anything else you would like to say before we close?
Just want to tell you thank you again for inviting me in. I'm honored to be on your show. I really appreciate it. And just pray that God keep using you. And, you keep doing what you're doing. I'm inspired by you. I'm sure that there are a lot of men and women that are inspired by what you do in your story and your life and the way that you continue to persevere, all with a smile on your face.
Thank you.
That's something that I identify with Opal, that smile. And so just want to tell you, congratulations. And I pray God keep blessing you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to Live with Necee. You can hear me on Mondays and Fridays at 9:05 a.m. And God bless. Have a great day.